Okay.
Great day. We're glad to have Dr. Michael Winters here at the Tri-County Property Extension Office. Michael, come on up.
I'm going to share with you some great information today about how childhood trauma affects future health outcomes, how that trauma locks in the brain and affects us, and how that can be changed. So some amazing information. The only thing I hate worse than starting out with a disclaimer is paying attorneys later for an issue. So I have to say some different things. It's for educational purposes. We don't seek to diagnose, treat disease, or cure disease. It augments chiropractic because emotional tension locks up the spine and creates what's called the subluxation. And we also refer to counselors when necessary. So, the rationale for this procedure that we do in our office now is the adverse childhood experiences research from the Centers for Disease Control and Kaiser Permanente Health Maintenance Organization. They took nearly 17,000 members and did exams on them and gave them questionnaires about childhood trauma. And then there's been, as a result of that, 50 scientific papers and over 100 conference presentations. This is straight from the Centers for Disease Control website, how adverse childhood experiences disrupt neurological development in the brain, lead to social, emotional, or cognitive thinking impairment, and the adoption of health risk behaviors, and lead to more disease, disability, and social problems, and actually can result in early death. Now, these ACE events can be things like neglect, family or social events, divorce, separation, death, addictions in the family, mental, physical, emotional abuse. These things have resulted in significant increases in autoimmune disease, in liver, lung, heart disease and headaches, in depression, suicide, anxiety, alcoholism, high-risk drug and sexual activity. Just as it relates to autoimmune disease, and I take care of a lot of patients with autoimmune disease where the immune system is attacking the body, there's a 64% increase with one ACE event in their life, a 70% increase with two ACE events. For those with myasthenia gravis, it was 80% higher, and a 100% increase for rheumatic diseases, meaning people who had reported these childhood events were twice as likely to be hospitalized in the future for a rheumatic disease than if they did not report a childhood event. And again, there's been studies and research on this. So these issues, and it's really issues that, to some of us, they are a big deal, or they would look as a big deal on the outside. To sometimes, because of other things going on in the family or other stresses, they may be things that we think, well, that wasn't that big a deal, but the brain locked on that at the moment. So let's talk about how the brain locks on these things. So let's see if I've got a light here. So what happens is, the limbic system is the key for this. This is the area of the brain that's more subconscious and is meant to protect us. Now, what the limbic system will respond to the same with physical stress as it will mental and emotional stress. Its job is to protect us. What happens here is that, very simply, this is the relay station for all sensory information to the body. It's called the thalamus. It receives the input and it asks the question, am I in danger? Then, if danger is perceived or possible danger, a message is sent to this area called the amygdala, and there the question is, ask, am I safe? Or am I in danger? I have those mixed up. Am I safe? And then am I in danger? If danger is perceived, a new neural message a new neural pathway is made into the hippocampus area here, And that's a memory center, so there's a pathway burned to that. And the reason there's a pathway burned to that is so that the nervous system can be prepared for a similar stress in the future. Then the hypothalamus acts, and the hypothalamus down here is the mind-body connection center. It has two-way communication with the hormones, with the immune system, with the emotional processing centers, and with the spine and nervous system. So the key to our potential is not so much positive affirmations, but it's what is in the subconscious, in this limbic system. Because our brain and nervous system excuse me, will adjust its physiology to our congruent beliefs. Meaning changing the neural pathways that are burned into that limbic system and the chemicals that are the equivalent of that emotion will literally change the physiology, how our body functions. All of our sensory input, mental thoughts, patterns can have an input on our biology. So emotional problems that lock in the brain are a big factor in our health. Big factor in our health. These things wire together like barbed wire, so one pattern will end up wiring into another. And so what we'll see as we work with patients on this, even patients with physical pain, there will be emotional pain wired in with that. And so when we release the emotional pain, there's not as strong a pathway for the physical pain to run on. These can create self-sabotaging patterns and what we call core beliefs, meaning ways that we have adapted to that stress that no longer serve us. And you don't really consciously know that this is going on. As the nervous system begins to degenerate, we go into different issues. So an over-aroused nervous system would have things like irritable bowel syndrome, heart palpitations. An under-aroused nervous system would have issues more like depression, low back pain, poor attention. An unstable nervous system, I just checked a young lady with seizures, she showed unstable nervous system. Eating disorders, PMS, mood swings. A nervous system that's super over-aroused is going to have high blood pressure, sleeplessness, and a nervous system that is exhausted will tend more toward fibromyalgia, PTSD, and those kinds of issues. Now, so there's lots of different emotions that literally can lock into the brain. You see some of these here, and if we had more time, we'd spend more time on that, but lungs can relate to worry, fright, shock, or thyroid feeling powerless, out of balance. And so QNRT, or quantum neurological reset therapy, is a proprietary protocol designed to get a shift in the nervous system and the body by helping the brain recover from stress caused by these emotional traumatic experiences. So a certified QNRT practitioner can find and locate the areas of the brain involved with functional neurological tests, use reflex points on the body to find out how, where, and with whom this emotional stress was established, and determine all aspects of this emotional processing and release that. And I would love to do a demonstration. I'm under copyright and trademark issues where I can't actually demonstrate that for you, but it's very, very powerful. We're seeing some awesome changes as a result. People can improve their mood, focus, concentration, improvements in hormonal balance, decreased inflammation because the right side of the brain will help shut off the inflammatory response, decreased pain, and the cool part is people will respond to similar stresses differently than they used to, because remember, the limbic system is wired up to protect us. So any stress that's similar to that original stress will produce that kind of reaction. When we clear that out of the brain, people no longer have to respond that way subconsciously. They'll have an event occur in their life and they'll go, wow, I handled that different, like almost like they, just realized it later, like, oh my gosh, something's really working. And so we're looking for people with autoimmune issues, with gastrointestinal issues, with chronic pain issues, people who also want to eliminate destructive patterns and reclaim their energy, and those interested in peak performance in their sport or business. And we've already had people setting new records in their business as well, receiving this because their brain functions different and they no longer respond to these stresses the same way that they did. So this is a great technique. If you're interested in more about that, give us a call at 270-554-2141. You can check us out on winterswellness.com, and we're on Facebook and YouTube. Thanks.